Hello, it's your buddy, it's your pal. I'm Karnik, and this is Star Wars Armada Explained. We're going to be looking at the Separatist Commander, General Grievous, today. General Grievous, if you look in front of his name, you'll see a little dot or a bullet point, signifies that General Grievous is unique. You can only ever have one General Grievous, meaning that if you bring the squadron version of them, you wouldn't be able to bring the commander version, vice versa, if they ever get an officer card. There's only one of that person in the Star Wars universe. So General Grievous, if you look at the bottom right-hand corner of the card, you'll see the Separatist icon there. And his point cost, 20 points. Very cheap commander for a very simple but useful ability. Very comparable to other 20-point commanders like Dodonna, I don't know who else is 20 points, but cheap commanders, cheap ability, useful, but how useful is it? We'll kind of touch on a few of those things later. As I always do, I start by reading the card in full and then break down any interesting, little tidbits and things, of course, giving, the in the nutshell version of how the card works. So, when a friendly ship or squadron is destroyed, you may choose one friendly ship or unique squadron at distance 1 to 5 of the destroyed ship or squadron. If you do, the chosen ship or unique squadron may either ready one of its defense tokens or recover one of its discarded defense tokens and then exhaust that token. Alright, so pretty much in a nutshell, how does this card work? Well, when your stuff gets blown up, stuff that's at distance 1 to 5 of whatever was destroyed is able to either ready defense tokens or recover defense tokens, and those tokens start exhausted. So Grievous is definitely like that whole, send more droids, and, throwing things at you so that you blow them up, and then they get that back. Because again, to go through the trigger, so when a friendly ship or squadron, so they don't even have to be unique, it's just, did a ship or squadron get blown up? Okay, yes. What's at distance 1 to 5? Choose one friendly ship or unique squadron. They get their token. They can ready a defense token, or they can recover a discarded defense token, and that's set to exhaust. And that's Grievous in a nutshell. That's it. Just go have fun. Go throw all the droids at your enemies, watch them explode, and then laugh as you gain all your defense tokens back or refresh your defense tokens. So that's in a nutshell for Grievous. Let's pick apart wording as I do. So, some people ask me like, well, where do I arrange, the distance 1 to 5? Again, it's always closest point to closest point. So, like for example, if you have one of your squadrons get destroyed, before you remove it from the table, you say, I'm going to resolve General Grievous. Okay, I get out my measurement. Closest point from my squadron to the closest point of, say, I'm choosing a ship. You're ranging, again, closest point of the squadron base to the closest point of the ship base. So you're not ranging to cardboard because it's not an attack. You only range to cardboard when doing attack or otherwise specified. The closest point is the plastic base of the ship. Again, do not measure to shield dials or the shield frame, the shield dial frames. It's literally the square plastic base. All right. And then you get your defense token. So what's kind of the thing with Grievous is, again, I'm kind of mixing and matching here, but he's great at, I want to sacrifice a bunch of just my generic vulture droids to get salvos back, to get braces back. Grievous is all about freely just every time that your ships or squadrons are attacked, just spend those defense tokens. Just spend them all the time. Just use them, because when your stuff explodes, you're gonna get them back. What Grievous is weak against, kind of the same issue Luminara has, if you just focus on one thing at a time, you're not going to get the most benefit from Grievous. So again, you have to present multiple targets. You have to give your opponent reason to want to shoot multiple stuff and not focus down just one thing at a time. You want to get your card use and ability out of it. So it takes a bit of planning. And as I mentioned, kind of like the best use that I have found is just throw a bunch of hyena bombers at something, or vulture droids. They're bombers. You got to stop them, right? If you just leave the bombers alone, they're just going to bomb your ship. So you can win that way. Otherwise, if they don't work on trying to destroy your hyenas, especially if they're backed by like Bomber Command Center, they're just going to chew through anything that they're going to come across. So again, you have to give your opponent reasons to want to blow stuff up. All right. Let's get into what are some interesting interactions. Just like with the Luminara video, Grievous's ability does work with the unarmed station. So remember, the station obstacle in almost all objectives you play, and it's just a regular obstacle. It doesn't do anything. However, in certain objectives, such as station assault, it turns into what's called an unarmed station. While it is still an obstacle, it is also treated as a ship for card effects, meaning that in station assault, if your opponent blows up your unarmed station, it does count as being destroyed. It is treated as a ship for an effect, and you can refresh or recover a defense token with unarmed station. And you can find again that on the Atomic Mass game forum in the frequently asked questions topic. So let's look at some other questions people have. Somebody had the question about the Gilded Argus from the Recusant. How many times per round can you use Gilded Argus, especially when you use your Grievous commander to recover a redirect token spent during the command phase or the shield phase, etc.? Pretty much you're asking like, hey, can Gilded Argus be resolved multiple times? And the answer to that is yes. So if you were able to get rid of that redirect at the start of the command phase, or is at the end of the command phase? I should have this open, and I thought that I did, but I don't. So let me just look this up real quick to make sure I'm saying this correctly. So let's get a Recusant. Let's throw a title on that. So that's Nova Defiant. Okay, yeah, Gilded Argus. So yeah, it's at the end of the command phase or ship phase. So again, it's not saying specifically choose. It's just saying, hey, at the end of either of these, you may discard a redirect. There's no limitation preventing this card from being resolved multiple times. So what some people like to do is at the end of the command phase, so when you're done setting your command dials and before the first ship activates, say, hey, I'm going to discard this redirect defense token and, move my shields around. And then during the course of battle or otherwise, when a squadron gets destroyed, you can have Argus get its redirect back, and then again at the end of the ship phase, you can be like, okay, pitch that redirect token, I'm going to resolve this effect again and move some shields and things around. So, otherwise, Gilded Argus would just not be... Nobody would ever want to bring it, right? Because it's just like, oh, it doesn't seem like it's all that great but for losing your redirect token. So it's got some uses there. But yes, you can resolve the Gilded Argus multiple times, and then again use Grievous to kind of, get a whole lot more value out of that title. I don't see very many people bringing that title, just because people see Patriot Fist, they're like, that Patriot Fist. All right, what are some other things? Some people had questions about, does this ability work with Reserve Hangar Deck? Because yes, the squadron has to be destroyed to resolve Reserve Hangar Deck. So what you have to do first, though, is before you resolve Reserve Hangar Deck, you need to resolve General Grievous. Again, when per effects use and timings, when stuff happens at the same time, the player almost always can choose to resolve the order of operations for how to resolve effects. So you say, hey, squadron was destroyed. I'm going to resolve General Grievous. Then I'm going to use Reserve Hangar Decks. That squadron is now not destroyed. It comes back, and you can plop it back on the table. Somebody asked if you need to resolve Grievous from where the squadron was destroyed initially, or where you place it with Reserve Hangar Deck. You have to resolve Grievous first. So again, it's from where the original position of where that squadron was is where you do your range check to use Grievous's ability. And I think that's pretty much it with that. Somebody else asked, hey, and this isn't necessarily with Grievous in general, but this question came out largely because of Grievous. Somebody asked, hey, can I intentionally move my squadrons off the game board into Oblivion to resolve Grievous's effect? And yeah, the answer to that is yeah. I mean, you still have to make sure that the squadron, where your final placement movement was from that squadron, it still has to be distance 1 to 5 of where it was, to resolve Grievous's effect. So, like, for example, if you chuck a squadron off the table, if all your ships are beyond a distance 1 to 5 of the edge of the table, you're not going to get any benefit from doing that, right? So, again, you'd have to keep your ships closer to a board edge, which, for the most part, you have to fly to go engage your enemy. So, like, can you get some use or benefit out of chucking your own squadrons off the table to get defense tokens back? Sure, but I don't know. I've never seen anyone like really abuse that mechanic to any large degree. Largely just because, yeah, if you're throwing your own squadrons off the table, even if you have reserve hangar decks to bring them back, it just doesn't seem like a very good use. Other than, like I said, with Gilded Argus, I could see some people doing that. But again, it's just like, what's the overall benefit from doing something like that? I just don't feel like it's a big deal. Some people think that it's like, oh, it's a big deal, but then you don't see a whole lot of General Grievous lists flying around. You see more the P-Fist and the the Freedom Bot. All right, so that's General Grievous. I could ramble on forever. Again, if you have any questions about rules interactions, make sure you bring in those to the Atomic Mass Game forums. If you just have comments about, again, just clarifying interactions or just otherwise have maybe you've seen some General Grievous lists that are really good, post them up. I'll be more than happy to engage with you. Otherwise, appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you next time.